All right, we're starting again. And I'll repeat again because maybe it wasn't on video, that I said to read article number 7 in the 诗的 series. It's actually article number 8. That's the one on ED and S endings and how to pronounce them. So that's a correction. I've also corrected on the website. And Sophie has a little announcement here, and please pay close attention. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start on a very, very important piece of work, and that is we're going to practice writing Mandarin in IPA. 如何用 IPA 做国语、做中文、华语, whatever you want to call it, 的记音. And I asked you to bring this handout, 2 pages of the paper by Professor Li Wenzhao, because he has a very nice couple of tables that compare Chinese IPA symbols, the ones that we use for Mandarin, with the ones that we use for standard American English. And he's really a good person to do it because he's really great at both. He's thoroughly bilingual. 中文、英文都一样好，都很棒. And he's a phonologist, so he's really a good person to put together a handout like this. Now here they are. We'll just go over them quickly. This isn't going to be enough to know how to use them because it's all theory, and you won't really learn it well until you practice transcribing words. So we'll give you a piece written in Chinese, and you need to transcribe it into IPA. That will be your assignment, and that will be due on Monday. So here are the vowels. Let's go over the vowels first in Mandarin, and that's probably the toughest part. The consonants are a little easier. Let's do the vowels. They're tough. We've got E here. So 1, 2, 3的 E, or 逼迫的 B, or 西, 对不对？东西南北的西. We're going to use this I, 有点的 I. And that's like English, so that's no problem, right? So that's E. And very similar to it, it's the same, pretty much the same place of articulation, but it's got what? Lip rounding, we have U, E, and U. And E and U group together for some things, namely what? If you have 机器西, what vowel can come after 机器西? Either E or those are the only vowels that are allowed after 机器西. So you can keep those kind of together in your mind. 机器西后面只有2个可能, 一个是 E, 一个是 U, that's all, nothing else. So that's special about 机器西. They developed from other sounds in earlier Chinese. 鸡, for example, how do you say 鸡 in 闽南语? Gay or gui, whatever you like, okay, 看你南北啊. So, 鸡 was originally ge in earlier Chinese. 就是比较早的那个中古啊，还有更晚的那个汉语里面，鸡目前国语的鸡本来是 ge, gay, gui. You can hear it in 闽南语. 闽南语 can help you, 尤其是 initials, 词首、声母比较会有帮助。可是很多韵母闽南语也变很多，已经笔画了，那个韵母不见了 ，PTK 很多也不见了。广东话比较好，可是广东话也在变。All right. So if you want to find out, 你要现在赶快去学一些方言 it will help you. In any case, E and U only come after 机器西. Well, E can come after many sounds. But 机器西后面只有2种母音的可能呢，就是可能的母音就是 E 跟 U. All right, what else do we have here? We have, this is and you probably don't even think it's a vowel. Like 资料的资, 思想的思, 次数的次, okay, 一次两次的次. That's the vowel we use. 我先指出一些比较麻烦的 U, use a Y. For you don't even write a vowel in 注音符号，对不对？你只写一个符号，它包含那个母音在里面，就是这个。It's a regular I with a bar. It's high, mid. Okay? And then we have this one. It's another one that you don't even think is a vowel, a separate vowel. That's the vowel that comes after 知, 吃, 日, and I'm exaggerating them. I know you don't say them like that in Taiwan. But Just use that to remember it because that's a 卷舌音, that's a retroflex. 所以支持是日 in 注音符号只有一个符号就够了，知道的知只有一个符号。But in IPA, you need a consonant and you need a vowel. And this is the vowel. It's not standard IPA. IPA 其实根本没有这个符号，这是汉语专用的 because it's not very common in other languages. So 那个卷舌音 it's kind of in the dark here. Take an S, 然后加一个往右的一个勾勾，就是 sh. Without this, it's s. With this, it's sh. So why don't we learn that? Since we're talking about the retroflex vowel, we have zh. This is a 拉了，尾巴拉长了。Remember in the tutorials, the voicing tutorials, they had retroflex. Do you remember? 它就是拉长尾巴往右勾。That's a retroflex. So T with a long tail pointing to the right. S. 有时候那个比例，我的比例不太好。S has got the same thing on it. Okay, so 往右勾。然后呢 ch, it's the same thing, but we add aspiration here. 在上面右上方小小的一个 h 就是送气 aspiration. Remember that in Chinese we don't have voiced initial consonants, stops, and affricates. 中文是没有有声无声的差别，只是无声跟无声加上送气。Are you paying attention? This is really important. If you don't get it, you're going to be really mixed up. 所以知道的知，吃饭的吃，知道的知不是 voiced, 它是 voiceless, unaspirated. 知道的知 is voiceless, unaspirated. 吃饭的吃 is voiceless, what? Aspirated, 送气。吃, you got a lot of air coming out there. So say 知 and then say 吃, 知, 吃, 知, 吃. Can you feel more air for 吃? That one's aspirated. Everything else is the same. 知, 吃, and then we've got 吃 right here. This one is what kind of a sound? What's its manner of articulation? Fricative, 擦音, right? How about these two? Affricates. So while we were doing the vowels, we got sort of distracted and brought over to the consonants. These are the tough ones. A lot of the consonants will be very easy for you. The tough ones are 支持时 and 机器西. Those are the hardest ones. 支持时 日, we'll add 日 in a minute. The other ones you won't have much trouble, but you have to remember these. This retroflex. Now, it's also called post-alveolar, and I think that's a little more accurate, 因为它没有非常的卷，不像南印度，印度南部。They are very, very 卷. They're very retroflex. So when they talk, everything is retroflex. You can tell from the way they speak English, right? 就是非常卷，那是印度南部是最卷的，那是真正的 retroflex。中文的，依照 Ladefogel 和 Ian Madison， 他们是专家。They say 中文的其实不算 retroflex, 算 post-alveolar, 没有那么卷. And in Taiwan, they're even less 卷. Not just in Taiwan, but in all of southern China, 就中国南方的国语的发音，差不多就没有那么卷，不像北京那么卷. Okay? So now we know what kind of sounds are these? Manner? This is a fricative. What are these? Affricates. There we go. So we've solved a major problem in transcribing Chinese right now. Remember, use the retroflex T, retroflex X, add a little raised H if it's aspirated, and it's just an S with a go-go for shi, zhi, chi, shi. And we need zhi. And zhi, we have a Z plus that same little hook. It's a retroflex Z. It's zhi, 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 chi, shi, zhi, 那个日子的日。是用这个符号. So Z, and then come back a little bit and make a hook. 这样子. That's 日子的日. You're going to need that. So we've solved 4比较头大的一些音. 我们顺便, we were just talking about E and U. We learned the symbol for 西 last earlier in the semester, a long time ago. Do you remember? I said you'll need this in the future. It's not palatal-alveolar. We call it alveolo-palatal. 我们为了区别，机器吸它的 pattern 很像。Let's put the sh down here so we keep them all together. That's not very good, is it? Okay. 支持sh, zh. And now we're going to do 机器吸, and these are pretty easy because you should all remember this symbol. Remember? Alveolo-palatal. It looks like a C with a little curly Q. 吸就是这样写的. Is it clear enough? 这样子. That's a 吸. 吸. Everybody got it? And then, how do we form 机 and 气 now that we know how to write 气? How do we write it? There are two different ways. Well, there are more than two ways, but there are two ways that I can think of. I'll teach you the more common one, but I'll tell you about the less common one. We just put a T there, and then this symbol for 吸, 机, 是这样写的. So what's this one going to be? T, and this plus a raised H. 机, 气, 吸. That's the easy way to do it. Now, do you remember in the closest tutorials, you also learned palatal stops. Do you remember? And it was in the test. And some of you had trouble with that because we didn't teach them. We hadn't taught them at that point, but we're going to learn them now. Palatal stops. Do you want to find them in your IPA table in your book? Look for palatal stops. Palatal. 音. What are the palatal stops? There's a voiceless one and a voiced one. What's the voiceless one? It's just the letter C. So here's an alternate way of writing 机器吸, and it's actually a bit more consistent. The C by itself, 这个 palatal 的这个 stop is, I'll put a vowel after it, 呀, 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 呀. 它很容易变成一个 affricate, 因为是舌面音. In Chinese, you call it 腭音 or 舌面音. A large part of your tongue comes in contact with your hard palate. 所以舌面的蛮大的面积会接触到硬腭. And when there is a large surface touching another large surface, it's very easy for them to produce what kind of a sound? 很可能会有点擦音在, 所以很容易会变成色擦音, 架, 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 这样子. 所以架 or 架有没有摩擦就看情况. 它很容易有摩擦. So, for 机, we can write 架, 这个架, and then put the 吸 after it. So, 机器吸, we can write 机, 气, 吸还是一样, 机器吸是这样子. This is 另外一个写法. 目前我们好像用的是这个. All right, that was the bell. Zari. Okay. Let me just go over really, really quickly. The other ones I think you can do yourself. 一语 we've already talked about. Like 资料的资, 支持是日的日. For no problem. This is like 肚子饿的饿, 舍, 肚子饿. This is like an O, but it's unrounded. O, and this is O. And we still have 双母音 in Chinese, so you're going to have to watch out for that. We'll use for a lot of sounds. For example, 很高, 很. Now, we don't say 很. 没有这样的音，我们就不用这个符号，我们就用，其实这个 schwa 写得很奇怪。我是用 schwa， 我不是用他写的那样子。That's just 左右好像颠倒的，这个应该是上下颠倒的。So I don't use that. I use a regular schwa. And this is A for use in AE, etc. 你会用到这个。我还要加一个 as in, for example, 前面的前，我会用英文的倒三。前面的前，前面要加一个 I， 前面的前是个 E 加这个 E 前。Now， 其实这个是个 allophone， 现在是时间不够，我没有办法来跟你们讲。我想 I'm going to give you an assignment， 其他的你们要自己去想。Look at the article, and I'm also going to give you a rather sloppy example that you can use for a guide. 这是我以前做的一个 transcription。那个 link 已经放在我们的 syllabus page 上。给你一个 text， 这是以前用的一个 text， 这是我自己的 transcription。我发现里面有一些小错 ，so that will give you something to look for。你看能不能挑出我的错？有些地方我没有抄到，没有抄对。Okay, so this is how it looks. 最后要跟你们讲的是四声怎么写。We're going to use the so-called tone letters. And we don't have time to go into detail, but 右边那只是给我们等于一个目标，就是一个 direction to go to. So 第一声会这样子写，第二声是这样子写，可能会留恋在上面。第三声要怎么写？ This is how we write it. 走 We don't say 走 We say 走。所以三声就这样而已。现在我们 transcribe 的是台湾的华语 all right? And then 四声就是这样讲下来。These all have places. The highest position is 5, middle is 3, the lowest is 1, 2, and 4. So we can also use numbers to indicate tones. 中文的第一声算4/4，第二个我们可以算或者是2/4或2/5，看你的耳声有多高。三声是2/1，如果它上去的话是2/3，可是通常不会上去。And the last one is 5/1。妈、马、马、马。所以每一个音节后面你要放一个 tone letter， 让我们知道是第几声。Everybody understand what I've just told you? 都可以吗？ You have an example here, so this is my personal transcription. 这是我个人的风格。有些人的那个中文的 transcription 会不一样，这是我个人采用的。So you can use this as a model. And I want you to transcribe the first paragraph of this 小狗布丁的这个小文。And all you need to transcribe is this 头2行，第一个段落。I want you to transcribe it in IPA. Okay? And that's due on Monday. But work on it early and find where your problems are. And we're going to put answers on the board on Monday. So this is our introduction to Chinese transcribing Mandarin. Those are the consonants. So the vowels, we covered the vowels pretty much. 啊跟这个我先跟你们讲，这里这个啊是肮脏的啊，肮脏的啊会是这个符号，安全的啊用这个。Everybody can see what I'm doing here? 这个是安全的啊用的有帽子，肮脏的啊是用这个啊，所以啊跟啊用不同的 a 的符号。This is American. And this one, the rest are pretty clear. B P M F 的 b 是 p, p 是 p, h with aspiration. T, a d, t, g, k, z, c. This is easy. It's just ts. Z, c, s is just an s. Z, c, s. 知, ch. 它的那个知有点不一样，它是用一般的 t， 其实也可以。机器也是用一般的 t 也可以，这是刚介绍过。佛教的佛等等，s 在这里讲过，日这个比较特别。不对，这个是儿，它不是日 ，sorry， 这是儿子的儿，倒过来的 r 再加一个 retroflex 一个勾勾，儿子的儿。西讲过，呵，台湾的国语比较少用，盒子还是盒子？第一个，第二个。盒子，那你就用 h， 不用 x。你如果是很明显的有差音，盒子好，那就用这个 x。没有的话就用 h， 盒子好，那是 h。OK， 它没有列 h， 可是其实我就用 h， 因为台湾那个盒比较少。么呢没有问题，is the same as English, no problem. 我 like 王，了，蓝，耶。看你耶怎么用，颜色的颜就要用到。 Okay, that's American. We've covered the symbols really, really quickly, but you look at the symbols, look at the example that I just showed you that I did myself, and transcribe those first 2 lines or that first paragraph of 小布丁. Okay, 可以吗? That's it for today. We will see you on Saturday.